Coming to you live from the Now Media Newsroom.
This is a tweet here from John Rustad, and this is that Richmond had its town hall last night. And we're going to play this little clip here from one of the landowners here, the Richmond property owner that had his title as part of the Richmond Cowichan decision. Let's play this.
And now, talk to your local MLA is what we're getting.
The same demands you carried earlier than the 2025.
Yep.
What contribute is not telling you too? We're not having a story for you like you asked. We have a story for you.
He doesn't have any answers. He knew what's going on. He sat there and enjoyed his $400,000 a year he makes.
Yeah.
That's bitter. I'm bitter, yes. My tax dollars are at work right now. And who knows? I thought at least we're going to get a gift card out of this deal. Got nothing here tonight.
Are you going to continue to fight?
Oh, definitely. I'll be filing suit.
That's good.
I'll find out what my...
So they weren't even part of the decision. The court said that they couldn't even be. They didn't even get to know. They just got to wake up one day and find out that their title had been awarded, and they couldn't.
I don't know how John Rustad. I don't know how John Rustad talks about this subject without, spontaneously combusting on the spot, because he was mocked and attacked relentlessly by David Eby and many other people, many other eggheads and boffins and experts. Just, they couldn't stop sticking the knife into John Rustad when he was talking about this exact thing happening. Remember in the debate, that video's doing the rounds, isn't it, where Eby's saying, like, he's trying to scare you. He's trying to say he's going to take the land away from you. It's like, what's happened? If I was John Rustad, I'd just be pulling my hair out constantly, because it's so annoying to be proved right when it's as depressing as this, when it's as big a deal as this. So kind of, I guess, like, credit to old Rusty there for keeping his head on.
I've interviewed Jeff Moyse, the Aboriginal lawyer for the government, for about 31 years, and now practicing on his own. And I've interviewed him a couple times, and we're going to get an interview again. And in British Columbia, there's over 100% of land claims because there's lots of overlapping claims. So this is really serious. And then Jeff Moyse said that this thing could take 5 to 7 years just to play out in the BC Supreme Court appeal system. And the Canadian Supreme Court won't hear it till it's exhausted through the BC Supreme Court. And so these people right now that have had this decision made on their land, you can't sell this. And then there's even talk that you can't even get to renew the mortgage. So the only choice they really have is to sue the government, because the land is purchased from the government. So it's BC Crown that sold the land to this man at some point, or I don't know if he bought it from somebody else, but original sale comes from the Crown. So the only recourse he has right now is sue the government. And you just think about it, I think there's about almost close to $3 trillion worth of private land in BC. Where does the BC government get $3 trillion? And if the BC government can't sell land, like the Crown can't sell land, is there a BC government? Is there a Canadian government? Do you know what I mean? This is how serious this question is. And it's, we had Jonathan Kay on the other day, a good interview, go watch that. And he's from Ontario, he used to be an editor with the National Post, and said that, as bad as things are in Canada, they look over at BC and they say, what are you guys doing there? You got a Conservative party that's in chaos, and then you got NDP living in La La Land that basically, allowed all this to happen, basically laid it all out, allowed it to happen, and now it's like, oh, well, we didn't do this. We got, some reaction here from, a couple of tweets here. Mortimer here, they miscalculated this. Obviously, this is Eby didn't show up at this meeting. But Nikki Schwarma did show up to the meeting there. We got a couple clips where we're going to run out of time, where there was a lawyer here. Let's play this clip here, this one here if we can. Let's play that clip here from another lawyer talking about how, because right now the court says that there 2 titles exist on this property. And he's saying there's no way that works.
The bottom line, after you've heard the definition of Aboriginal title, and from what you've heard of fee simple ownership, is Aboriginal title cannot coexist with fee simple ownership. There cannot be two competing rights of exclusive ownership and possession of the same land.
There you go. And then we got Nikki Shawarma. She showed up there. Credit to her for actually showing up. Did I say it?
Her
Shawarma?
name is Sharma, not Shawarma.
Shawarma. Wow, maybe she's selling some shawarma. There you go.
That might be what she ends up doing if this goes wrong.
Sideways. There you go. Let's listen to what she has to say.
This ruling. The province was the first to announce that we would be appealing this decision and are piecing through the arguments, and in particular the decision, how it related to private property rights. I want you to hear a little bit about what our arguments was. I think there's been a lot of discussion about extinguishment versus non and what we argued. I just want to tell you it was nothing to do with the litigation directive. Lawyers will have different arguments, but our arguments got to the same place. We argued displacement and suspension of Aboriginal title when there's a fee simple title. So we argued that the fee simple ownership and our land title system in BC was a paramount legal structure that all of you landowners need to have that legal certainty when you have your fee simple. Another point that, our legal counsel, we differ in our conclusions.
That's good. You can go listen to that whole thing. There's quite a bit there. Kudos to her for showing up. But the Richmond mayor, laid it out very well as well, where he said that, there was no transparency in this. And John Rustad has called on David Eby to stop with these secretive negotiations. And we're going to get Jeff Moyse in to talk about the decision with Haida too, when that property was awarded. All of these things are done behind closed doors, and you're just told one day, oh, this is what happened. Eby, I think this is going to be a tough one to come back from. David Eby, they got so many messes going on. They got that mess there with healthcare. We talked about that yesterday. And then even to add to this, here's the Auditor General now saying BC government rebuked by Auditor General for improperly recording tobacco settlement cash. And I interviewed the finance minister recently as well, and we've talked about it. I didn't talk to her about this because we were only allowed 15 minutes. And there's only so many questions you could get in. But, I'm also a CPA, and this cook in the book stuff is just, and this is what the Carney Liberals are trying to do right now, using different forms of accounting. But here's the Auditor General calling out the BC NDP. But then I guess what happens then? The finger pointing starts, right? So they've been rebuked by them for recording that cash settlement of $3.5 billion. They should have been recorded in last year's book rather this year and in future accounts. But Brenda Bailey says the decision to count the cash was a staff decision and not made by her or other members of her cabinet. Who's responsible for the staff?
It's amazing when you see that sort of thing, isn't it? That's like losing. It's like Napoleon loses a battle, and he's like, "But I didn't. That was a soldier's decision."
So then fire somebody. Hey, show us that you didn't know. Fire somebody. You're the one that stood up there and read it. You knew it was in there. You could have said, "Wow, this is a bad decision."
But you're the boss. Is another way to look at it. It's like this is your show.
I know you know how to read statements. You have an MBA. I know you know how to read them. I know you would say like, oh, that's weird. Hey, that's weird. This is over 7 years, this settlement. But hey, let's just record it right because we needed it for the political theater that you needed to do that day. Anyway. But
you can guarantee, she's not going to release a sort of edited, adjusted, numbers. She's not going to do that. But you can guarantee that the people that might be going to lend money to the British Columbia government, they're going to do that. So when they consider the creditworthiness of BC and the state, like BC's fiscal position, they're going to look at that and they're just going to take that money off there, aren't they? So it makes the deficit look even worse. It makes the fiscal position, which is already grim, look even worse.
So you get called out lots, and I'm getting called out now. It says, does this host literally have a background and everything? Sorry that I worked in several jobs. Sorry that I'm a CPA. Sorry that I worked as a mindset controller and a dishwasher, and I worked in the oil field. I also worked on a cattle ranch. Basically, just like an average guy. I worked in many, many places and had tons of jobs, including a newspaper. Started at grade 6 delivering newspapers because we didn't have any money. We grew up dirt-ass poor. So, sorry, I guess, is that what you want to hear? Hey? Yeah. Anyway.
It's like a backhanded compliment, if anything, wasn't it? You should take it as a compliment.
There you go. Maybe. And here's the Emily for BC Greens, this young, new, we're trying to get her in for an interview as well. And, another one that goes after property rights. Basically, the Greens in that, they don't want you to, if you own a property, it's really belongs to the renters, not you. I mean, that's why a lot of people were doing Airbnb, because the Landlord-Tenant Act is very slanted towards the tenants. And I've heard horror stories. You can't get people out; they won't pay rent. I mean, there's horror stories in Toronto as well.
Yeah, Ontario has some massive horror stories.
Where you're paying like $50,000 in that to get people to move out because you want to sell the property.
Yeah, but Emily, what's her name? Emily. Emily Lowen. There you go. It's in her little. Is this Blue Sky, by the way, or has she finally now come on Twitter? It's hilarious because she wasn't on Twitter before. You had to go to Blue Sky to see what she thought about things. But she is Emily Lowen, head of the BC Greens. She is a product of BC's economic dysfunction and political dysfunction, you could say. She's been radicalized. She's a radical, and when it comes to things like property or ownership of land or whatever you want, really, she's a radical. But you won't see a CBC investigation into her because she's a left radical rather than a right radical, which is what they're the ones that CBC and the rest of the kind of establishment likes to talk about. But there is the opposite as well, and she's now risen to some heights. Like, this is the BC Green Party is kind of quite consequential, and she's the head of it now.
They have the hammer. They have the hammer, actually. And just like Ian doesn't leave it go, I'll just say one of the jobs I had when I was a youngster, when I had my car repossessed, girlfriend dumped me and all that stuff, when I think the 80s, their interest rates went through the roof, the mills were closing down, I was out of work for a year. And I got a job, finally, as a silver and ceramics technician, and that was one of the best jobs ever, because it told me at that point to stop drinking and get serious. And that was, I started as a dishwasher in northern Alberta, in high-level Alberta, in 45 below, washing dishes, and then a cook and short-order cook and all those other things, oil field, all that stuff. But that's a humbling experience to be a silver and ceramics technician. And
we don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.